Students often find it difficult to break down the geography optional syllabus for UPSC into simpler units for better understanding and planning. But don't worry, we will do it for you. In the optional, there are 20 chapters, 10 chapters in paper 1 and 10 chapters in paper 2. But we have clubbed these 20 chapters into 18 chapters for a better preparation. Vande Mataram, welcome to Ensemble, and I am Amal Sarkar. Today, we will be discussing the geography optional syllabus, especially population geography. As you know, the population geography is both in paper 1 and paper 2, and it is there under different chapters. I'll cite an example. In paper 1, there is a chapter Population and Settlement Geography. For today, this discussion, we will be clubbing all the different dimensions of population in paper 1 and paper 2 and we will be presenting to you. For settlement geography, we will be taking the topic in another video. So in this chapter, let us see the chapter. Growth and distribution of world population, demographic attributes, causes and consequences of migration, concepts of over, under and optimum population, population theories and world population problems and policies. So what is UPSC trying to tell us? It is trying to say the growth and distribution of world population. You must know which are the places which are having a high growth, which are the places which are having a high population density, which are the places which there is a change in population density. So like Africa, the population density is increasing. In developing countries, in some of the developing countries, the population density has decreased, the population has decreased. I'll cite an example. See question number 1. Population growth in the 20th century. You have to write a note on it. Question number 2. Population distribution is as much a product of the physiographic factors as much as the available resources and their utilization. Describe or analyze. So, what is the question saying? The question is saying that population depends on the physiographic conditions. True. Because the population in desert will be less as compared to fertile plain. The population in tundra will be less as compared to temperate region. So, physiography is important. But there's one more thing important is that of available resources and their utilization. So, in the many mining towns, due to the mining towns, there has been a flux of immigrants for work. And because of these immigrants, there has been settlement. And due to the settlement, there has been increase in population. So, the two things for resources, the availability of resource and its utilization. Utilization depends on the technological advancement. Let's say example of shale gas. Some time ago, shale gas was not viable commercially because the technology was not there at the commercial level. So, once the technology came into being, so it became a resource. The shale gas became a resource. Next part is demographic attributes. Demographic attributes has many dimensions. I'll give an example. Age structure, life expectancy, sex ratio, literacy, occupational structure, dependency ratio, and workforce. In paper 2, this topic is there with respect to India, and UPSC has mentioned certain dimensions. But in paper 1, UPSC has just written demographic attributes without highlighting the different dimensions. For our better understanding, I have noted down some dimensions of demographic attributes. Let's see the next topic, causes and consequences of migration. So, migration can be due to anything. It can be pull factor, it can be push factor. Pull factor is that you got a job you live in UP and you got a good job in Bangalore, this package of 10 lakh rupees, that's the pull factor. What's push factor? Your, say, you live in Sundarban and your village got destroyed due to cyclone. You don't have a place to live. So you move from Sundarban to Kolkata. That's a push factor. So causes and consequences of migration. There will be several causes. Economic cause mostly. It can be political cause also. Cultural cause also. And what will be the consequences? If there is a migration, there will be a consequence. Say rural to urban migration. If there's a rural to urban migration, then the dependency ratio, the work population, the sex ratio, the age sex structure, everything changes, especially with respect to India, because this kind of migration is mostly by the rural men. So let us see the next topic. Concepts of over, under and optimum population. So who decides that a region has underpopulation, or who decides a region has overpopulation? It is said that India is having overpopulation. But who decides that? It is decided on the factor of population resource ratio. As you can see in the diagram of overpopulation, this is a balance. The balance has been, it's imbalance in fact. There's more of population and less of resources. That means according to the resources available at that moment of time, the population is much bigger. Hence, there is a scarcity of resources with respect to that population. That will be called overpopulation. Example, Bangladesh, Pakistan. What will be underpopulation? The resources are so much that the population is not able to utilize the resources effectively and efficiently. Say example of Scandinavian countries. Then optimum population. When there's a balance of population and resources, that is optimum population. So one thing you need to understand is that the resources depend on their utilization, as I said earlier. And I gave the example of shale gas. Next topic is population theories. So population theories, there have been many geographers, even non-geographers also, who have given their population theories, right from Malthus to the new Malthus theories. So they are trying to say something that population is so big or less, and they have tried to give some relationship of population with food supply, with population and say birth rate and say food supply or something like migration. Then the next topic is world population problems and policies. So let's see some questions of these topics. See question number 3. Describe the regional pattern of life expectancy in the world and bring out the challenges faced by developing countries due to increasing life expectancy. See, there are two parts in this question. Describe the regional pattern of life expectancy. This is the first part. And bring out the challenges faced by developing countries. That's the second part. So, on a world level, you have to explain what is the trend. Developing countries are having high life expectancy. Underdeveloped countries are having low life expectancy. Developing countries are having medium life expectancy. So, this is a pattern. You have to explain that. Why is it so? It depends on the development, on the resources, the availability of resources. Then the second part, challenges faced by the developing countries. So, you know that India is a developing country. Due to the development, there has been better health facilities. Due to the better health facilities, there has been an increase in the population of old people. Due to this increase, the age structure has changed. The life expectancy has increased. So if there are more number of old people, there's a more number of dependent population vis-a-vis the working population, there will be new challenges because percentage wise and in absolute terms also, you have a bigger dependent population to feed. So there will be some challenges. Say in a metro city, it's an old couple of more than 70 years old without their son or daughter. Maybe the son and daughter is living in other city for work. This is a classic example of a developing country like India. Let's see the next question. Impact of migration on urban demography. As we have discussed, due to the migration, there will be consequences. Hence the question, impact of migration on urban demography. Due to that migration, there will be changes in the different demographic attributes and other things. You have to discuss that. The write a note on, question number 5, write a note on optimum population. We talked about the balance. Question 6, Karl Marx's view on population is more humanistic. Comment. So you have to explain the Karl Marx theory. Question number 7, world population problems. Write a note on that. So a question can be asked on the problems of developing countries or developed countries, or with respect to Africa or Europe. Let's see the next topic. Social well-being and the quality of life. Quality of life depends on 3 things. What? The physical factor, the mental factor, and the social factor. What is physical factor? In Hindi it is said roti, makan and kapda, food, clothing and a house. That's physical necessity. Then the mental factor, the mental peace. You will study in perspective of geography. Then third thing is the societal well-being. The societal well-being is something which is needed today. Until unless you're included in society in different dimensions, right from education or say social culture or anything, your societal isolation will be there. If you are socially isolated, your development will be hampered. I'll give an example. Say the different components of social well-being: health, education, food, nutrition. You need to access these things. If you don't have the access of health, education, nutrition, there will be no development. Then for this access, you need freedom, equality, better law and order, less pollution, a better sex ratio, and the social structure is also important. Next topic is population as a social capital. We know what is a physical capital. Say tools, machinery, these are the physical capital. Then there is the human capital. What? Skill development, education. With the human capital and the physical capital, and when in a society having a population, there is social capital. When population acts as a social capital, there will be greater social cohesiveness, better understanding, and inclusive development. Let's see the next topic. In the chapter called Models Theories, there's a topic called Malthusian, Marxian, and Demographic Transition Models. Though this topic is given in Models and Theories, we have clubbed this topic in Population Geography because it deals about population. As we were talking about the Malthusian theory, that Malthus gave his theory, his observations, then Marx gave his theory, then the recent most theory of around few years back is demographic transition model. Then, the thing is, questions are now asked not on theory directly, but the applicability of theory. How this theory is applicable in a certain region. What are the drawbacks? Why this theory is not applicable universally? Questions are asked in such a manner today. Let's see the examples. Question number 8. The changing concept of social well-being. The social well-being for us is different what it used to be around 30 years back. Things have changed. Earlier it was more of a physical existence, but now things have improved and we need a better quality of life. The question number 9. population as a social capital. Write a note on that. Question 10, explain Malthusian model. Then there can be questions on how is the new Malthusian models applicable in the present day world. Question number 11. Critically describe the applicability of demographic transition theory. So there's a theory of demographic transition that they are having different stages. From stage 1, high birth ratio, high death rate, low and stationary population. When there's some development, better health facilities, so it moves to stage 2 because the birth rate remains the same, the death rate decreases, there is a population explosion. Then the stage 3, this better understanding, education, the birth rate decreases, but still there is an increase in population. Then the stage 4, there is a decrease in the birth rate, there's a decrease in again the death rate, so the population is stationary. So is the theory applicable everywhere? We'll study it. So questions can be asked, what are the drawbacks, what are the applications of, at a micro level. See the next topic. In perspectives in geography, we have chosen 2 topics which we can club in population geography, like language, religion and secularization. So if there's a population, they'll speak some language. And questions on language and religion are more of fact-oriented and very general in nature. I'll give an example. Evolution and diffusion of Indo-European languages. So they're specifically asking with Indo-European languages. Indo-Aryan languages is a subset of Indo-European languages which is spoken in northern India, right from Hindi, Bengali, Assami. And they have the question is asking you how they evolved and how they diffused. So you need to know how many group of languages India having. Indo-European, Dravidian, Sino-Tibetan, Thai-Khamte, Austro-Asiatic, Negrito. These are the different group of languages spoken in India. So questions are fact-oriented and you need to have a certain understanding to answer these questions. Then a question has been asked on secularization and its effects. So a question when secularization and its effects, when you're writing these kind of answers, you must have a balanced approach. You can't be very extreme right or you can't be very extreme left. UPSC needs a balanced candidate. So while writing answer, you have to control your emotions. If you are extreme right or extreme left politically. Let's see in the next paper 2. In paper 2, the chapter name is cultural setting. Under cultural setting, certain topics are a part of population geography like growth, distribution and density of population. Let's see an example. Account for the present distribution pattern of population density in India. So what they are asking you, what is the population density? Why? A question can also be asked, what's the reason of the present population density? Say, Gangetic Plains, high population density. Thar Desert, low population density. As we discussed, the physiographic divisions have a greater role to play. As we discussed, the mineral towns have a role to play. So questions can be asked. You need to understand why. First, learn which areas having high population, low population. Maybe they just learn this basic data, and you need to understand why is it so. Next topic is demographic attributes: sex ratio, age structure, literacy rate, workforce, dependency ratio, and longevity. In paper 1, UPSC has just mentioned demographic attributes, but in paper 2, UPSC has explicitly mentioned these dimensions. So questions are of similar nature in paper 1 and paper 2. That's of the world level, that's of India level. Let's see an example. Question 15. Elucidate the age and structure of the population of India. you need to explain what the age and sex structure. So what age and sex structure is India having? It is having a very young population. Unlike Japan, Japan is having a higher percentage of older population. So the age, state, sex structure will be different. Let's see an example. This is an example of a developing country, a very broad base, and it's stepping towards the top. So that is the age. As you go on, the age is increasing. It will be something like male, female, and explaining the sex ratio also. Let us take an example of an developed country. So a developed country won't be having a very broad base. It will be much more tapered. So in a developed country, the base will be much tapered, and it won't be something like this. It won't be just a triangle. It will be tapered and something like that. You just remove the upper part. Something like that. For an underdeveloped country, the base will be broader. Let's see the next topic. Migration and associated problems. In migration, UPSC has explicitly mentioned inter-regional, intra-regional and international migration. So questions will be asked, and what has been the pattern of the migration in the recent past? Like in Corona era, especially during the lockdowns, there was a migration. It was a social phenomena, social problem, a challenge. Question have been asked. If there is something which has happened in the recent past, question will be asked. What will be the impact? Why this migration was caused? What can be done to overcome it? So questions are asked on these kind of dimensions. The next topic is population problems and policies. India is having a very high population. So when there's a high population, there will be numerous challenges. So questions can be asked on the population problems. Say, what are the population problems of northern Bihar? Or what are the population problem of Arunachal? The answer will be very different because Bihar is having a high population ratio. Arunachal is having a very low population ratio. Then for India, it will be having a population policy. A question can be asked directly, explain the population policy or analyze the population policy. Let's see the next topic. As I was saying, explain the population policy. A question has been asked. Note on the population policy of India. Let's see question 17. Explain the causes and consequences of migration. In the contemporary issue of paper 2, there is a topic of population explosion. As we know that India's population has been rising, we have discussed briefly about the demographic transition theory. So India at some point of time was in stage 1, then in stage 2. Presently it is in stage 3 according to this theory. So there has been a population explosion in the stage 2. When there is a population explosion, then a question will be asked on what will be the effects of this population explosion on different dimensions, at economic level, at a political level, at a cultural level, at a social level. So these are the topics of population geography which we have discussed. In our next video, we will be discussing a different chapter and we will be clubbing all the topics of paper 1 and paper 2 in that chapter. I hope I am able to explain you the different dimensions and attributes of population geography, and I have cited you some examples also. In our next video, we will be continuing forward the work which we have started earlier. Thank you.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.